Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this small broadcast. We have our guest, our friend Henrik here. We will be just showing what is it going on the draw for Libertadores and now Sudamericana. So, without more opening, I will let into my friend Henrik from the Smoking Snake. Henrik, how are you?
I'm good, man. Everything's been well. How about you? How have you been?
It's been a long time. Sorry about that. So we start we started doing some other kind of broadcast more in Spanish. So I kind of dropped the vote, but now I'm back. But yeah, happy to see you again. I know you have, and from the actual podcast, you have a lot of knowledge and more experience. Santos plus Brazilian football. So that's something that for Bolivar, especially, I wouldn't like to have for now. I don't want Brazilians on my group, but it's the highest possibilities that we have at least one because we I don't know, there are kind of 5 or 6 teams right now. So tell us how you see this draw before we start.
Well, as always, this draw is it has a lot of teams, mostly from Brazil and Argentina, and you could argue that they can be the favorites to win the competition, as we've seen from previous years. But who knows? Maybe we get a surprise like Bolivar, as you mentioned. They almost pulled a surprise last season against Palmeiras. They almost won the group, so who knows what the Bolivian club can bring to the table? I mean, you know more than me. My club is currently in second division, and I wish this wouldn't have happened. Last time we talked, we were discussing how Santos is probably going to escape relegation, and now it's what it is. We got to look forward. Thankfully, we're only going to be playing one competition, so we're not going to be traveling around, something that your team or other teams in the continent will be doing more often. But yeah, I expect great things. Something that I wish for the draw is all the Brazilian teams to be in separate groups. For example, I don't want to see Atlético Paranaense and Atlético Mineiro in the same group like we saw last year. And I know it's more difficult for the other teams of the continent, but that's just something I would prefer.
Yeah, you just touched one topic that I also wanted to talk with you because Saint Santos in second division, it must have been very hard for the supporters, for the fans, of course, for the players. From the Bolivian side, we always talk about that. We have our players there. We have our jewels, uh, Miguelito and Enzo are there and have having a great performance inside the team. So, but from the fun side, of course, that's the worst of the nightmares that you can have as a supporter. So, how did you lead? How did you carry this on after this relegation stage? Let's say.
Well, at the beginning, it was very tough. I mean, growing up, I never expected to be in a situation like this. I never thought I would be. And I remember back in like my teenage or even my years when I was like 10, 11 years old, I used to watch Serie A at the time. And I would watch a team like Pescara that now they're probably in the third division in Italy and think, how can people support teams like these? Like I would see fans in the stadium and think like, it must be very difficult, but I don't see any reason of fans actually supporting clubs that are not big like Inter, Milan, Napoli, Juventus. And I find myself in that position currently, despite my team being in second division. I feel like it's something that we really needed. In the past, we were all always saying, "Oh, we're the best club in Brazil. We have Pele, we have Neymar, we have so many legends," and didn't really focus into getting big achievements in the future. And now that we got down, now we know what it feels like to get relegated, and I feel like it's going to be beneficial. Like look at the teams that got relegated in the past 10 years. Palmeiras was in Serie B in 2014 or 2013, and now they're probably the one of the best teams in South America or alongside Flamengo. So who knows? Maybe in 10 years from now, Santos can be in the same position, and then if it it's about me and fans that support that club to suffer now just so that we can have fun in the future, then so be it. I'm down for it, and I can't wait for the team to get back to where they belong in the future.
Yeah. This is very touchy. What you already said, right? It's really hard. So I leave it from a close. Let's say I've been kind of on that situation, not myself, but I looked at very close to me with my friends when that same thing happened with River Plate, right? So a couple of years back. So I do understand that, and seeing such a big team in the second division is shocking, even for the rest of the people. So of course, on the Bolivian side, we are well connected now with Santos because of Miguelito and so we really want that things go better and that the Santos can go back to the first division of Brazil. I hope that happen soon. But yeah, so all the best. So yeah, Hendrik. So let's go to our, let's say, topic. I can show a little of this part of the draw of Sudamericana. Almost the groups are almost ready there.
Yeah.
We can just mention some of them. The Group A for the Sudamericana, which Bolivar is not participating. For the people that is not familiar with American football, this is kind of the Europa League of the competition. Is like the other competition. Libertadores would be the equivalent of the Champions League for the ones that are not familiar. So right now they're about to finish all the groups. They just dropped it out. So let me wait until this is coming back. Oh, there you go. So let me just show that. So Group A, they have Defensa y Justicia from Argentina, Independiente Medellín, Cesar Vallejo from Peru, and Always Ready from Bolivia. This is a team from La Paz that already qualified. Group B is Cruzeiro from Brazil, Unión La Calera from Chile, Universidad Católica Ecuador, and Alianza FC from Colombia. Group C is Internacional of Brazil, Delfín Ecuador, Belgrano Argentina, Real Tomayapo Bolivia. Group D, Boca Juniors, Argentina, Fortaleza, and Nacional Potosí, and I couldn't get the last one. Group E is Atlético Paranaense from Brazil, Danubio from Uruguay, Sportivo Ameliano Paraguay, Rayo Zuliano Venezuela. Group F, Corinthians, Brazil, Argentinos Junior, Argentina, Racing Uruguay, Nacional Paraguay. Group G, Lanús Argentina, Metropolitanos Venezuela, Cuiabá Brazil, Deportivo Garcilaso Perú. Group H, Racing Argentina, Coquimbo Unido Chile, Sportivo Luqueño Paraguay, and Red Bull Bragantino Brazil. So they already completed what is the Sudamericana groups. So some of them might be happy. There are surprises, right? Like Boca and Corinthians playing this edition. So what do you feel about that? You can see Riquelme there.
Corinthians, they're not in a good situation at the moment. I feel like they're going through what Santos has been going through in the past 2 or 3 years, and you could see that even in the state championship, they were unable to qualify to the next rounds, which is very surprising because teams in the first division, which is like 4 or 5, they're competing alongside 7 others that could be in second, third, and even fourth division, or maybe teams that don't even have a division at all. So to be seeing teams like that advance is surprising, and a team like Corinthians struggling at the moment. They struggled last year in Brazil, and I feel like they're going to struggle here as well. If I'm not mistaken, they were in a group with an Argentinian team, and I don't know how they're going to be feeling about that. Currently, they're having so many issues with management, with the board, with a new president that just got elected last November. So yeah, they've been fighting for their lives for the past 3 or 4 months. And then teams like Boca Juniors last year reaching the Libertadores finals and now competing in the Sudamericana. It sucks to see that, but what can you do? Just how the tournament is being played, and hopefully they can get back to where they belong as well.
And which one do you think is the strongest team in this Sudamericana from your perspective?
Okay, so I don't have the groups in front of me right now. I
Oh,
just have to search up something
I got you
and take
unprecedented.
a look at all. Right.
Let me let me do the same. Because I'm in the same situation. So we'll put Sudamericana there.
But one thing I really liked from the draw so far is that every Brazilian team is in a separate group. They're not mixed with each other, and so the same thing can be said with Argentinians as well. So now I have the groups in front of me. Group A. I'm just gonna give some of my predictions, maybe if that would be better.
Of
I
course,
think that
thank you.
Pensa and Justicia from Argentina and Independiente Medellin are both gonna go through. In Serie or in Group B, Cruzeiro, of course, can go through, and then the second spot, Unión La Calera, Universidad Católica, and Alianza. I mean, any team can be getting that spot. Group C, Internacional, again, I expect them to go through alongside Belgrano of Argentina. Group D looks like a very difficult group, as we talked about Boca Juniors, probably the favorites, and Fortaleza as well. So these two teams are really going to fight with each other. And who knows, maybe a team like Nacional Potosí of Bolivia and Sportivo Trinidense of Paraguay can give them a hard time. Uh, in Group E, Atletico Paranaense and Danubio of Uruguay might be going through. Danubio, I believe, is the place where Canobio, who currently plays for Atletico Paranaense, played for. So he might be playing against his boyhood club. Group F, Corinthians, Argentinos Juniors, Racing, and then Nacional of Paraguay. This is the toughest group. And if I'm not wrong, even last year when Corinthians was competing in Libertadores, they found themselves in the group of death. And same thing can be said. It's not going to be surprising if Corinthians ends up fourth here, if not third. I don't see them as favorites going through. I see Argentinos and Racing of Uruguay going ahead of them. And then Group G, Lanús, Cuiabá, Metropolitanos, and Deportivo Garcilaso. Lanús and Cuiabá, probably the strongest teams. Cuiabá has been doing very good in Brazil in the past couple of years, surprising and getting the results against big clubs. I believe last season they were ranked like 11th or maybe 12th, so that's pretty good for a team that was founded in 2001 and has been going up divisions ever since. And then the last group, Racing of Argentina, and then Red Bull Bragantino of Brazil. These are again two favorites to go through. So out of all those teams that we've been mentioning or have been talking about, I feel like Racing of Argentina is a strong side. Red Bull Bragantino is also strong. They almost made it to Libertadores group stage if it wasn't about Botafogo beating them. Atletico Paranaense, Boca Juniors, Internacional, who many people are actually saying they might even win Brasileirão this year. I don't know how true that could be because there are other big teams like Palmeiras and Flamengo at the moment. So if not winners, expect Inter to be top two or top three, and who knows, maybe they might even make it to the final of Sudamericana this season. And what about you, Sepe? What do you think about the draw? Who are your favorites to win this competition?
I think this year, because of the players, because of the history, and so I guess Boca has everything to take that. But this side of the, like they call this side of the tournament, it's very difficult because they are almost at the same level, right? They play for everything. This is different. Normally, the teams that have more budget, the teams that normally are more competitive, let's say, they are on the other side, on the Libertadores side. So that's one thing I really I really want to see. So, and the Sudamericana is also a good place to get surprises, right? And where a team that you cannot bet on it, like, and you don't give anything for a team, and ended up being the team that it's doing the best competition, the best performance, or even winning. You see, because along the history, the winners of Sudamericana, and I can put Bolivar as well, because Bolivar was finalist on the 2002, 2004, sorry, and they made a great performance, not being such the best team in the competition, but we made such a great performance that we ended up being finalists and being defeated by Boca Juniors. So this is the good thing. I always said Sudamericana, it's a good starting point to take the glory, to win a continental contest. So, but in this case, having teams like a Boca Juniors, Bragantino, Racing, it's very difficult to compete with those teams that are normally competing or playing tournaments like Libertadores, right? So this is very difficult this time. So I really would like to see what Boca is showing there. On the other hand, you have teams from Bolivia, for example, from Ecuador, from Paraguay, that are not not even historical teams in their own leagues, right? So this is teams that came basically out of nothing, and this I'm telling this respectfully, of course. But that's one thing I also like to remark. And those teams normally ended up being more ambitious because they know somehow that this is not going to be repeated. This opportunity will not come back again, and that's something really difficult for a big team to compete with, right? So again, that is going to be more interesting because I think that taking out Boca, taking out maybe Corinthians, that is not, even though, as you mentioned correctly, is not on the best of the situation, it's still a historical team, right? So those are big teams, big budgets, stuff like that, but not with good performance in the current in the present, let's say, right? So
Right.
that's one thing also we need to analyze. But it's very difficult. The Sudamericana, I find that are even more difficult to analyze than Libertadores. I don't know if you have the same perception.
Yeah, I mean, in the Sudamericana, there's so many clubs, like you said, who have not been good historically, and some teams might even be appearing for the first time in this competition ever. So it's their chance for the players and for the teams to showcase what they can do and prove themselves to that big stage. Because if you see, for example, a team like Sportivo Trinidense, which I'm not really heard of until I saw them compete in Libertadores and then lose and jump down to Sudamericana, if they beat a team like Fortaleza or Boca, everybody will be talking about them. All the scouts will be looking at players who play there, how they got that result, and a year or two from now, they might find themselves in those top continental clubs. So again, it's like in Brazil when we got those state divisions of first division team playing against a fourth division club, and the fourth division club can win the match because the players are so motivated. It's their chance to play in big stadiums, and they know that any potential win can grant them a transfer move to those big clubs.
Yeah, that's how it ended up. And Rick, so let's see. I guess Sudamericana is going to be interesting as well. Interesting tournament to follow up. Where we're seeing some of the captions of the draw. I see Chiquitapia, who is the president of Argentinian Federation. I see Dominguez, who is the CONMEBOL chairman, and I don't know who the lady is, but he's receiving some kind of award. I guess it's an Olympia player, maybe it's a widow or something like that. But yeah, it's they are doing some kind of recognition now, CONMEBOL. So this is the the part where they started as an opening, right? And we're not going to the draw yet, so and just to avoid any penalty against us, we will just drop it for a moment and come back here. Okay. And Hendrik, maybe a question for you there. Considering the teams that are now on the pots, which one is your favorite? Do you have any? Have you seen the pots? You see,
I mean, as always, I'm always going to say that Brazilian clubs are one of the favorites, not because I'm a supporter of the nation and the league, but historically they've been doing very well. And ever since uh, Boca Juniors won it against River Plate in 2018, because of course, two Argentinian sides, we've struggled to see other South American teams other than Brazilian nations appearing in those finals. And yeah, I mean, I expect them to do the same thing again. Palmeiras and Flamengo are my top two, but I wouldn't neglect teams like Botafogo or River Plate again, maybe causing some issues to other big clubs, and who knows? It's so unpredictable. South America, it's not like you're watching Champions League and you know that there's four or five top clubs that can win it all. In South America, there might be a club that can be ranked 10th and they become champions. Like you mentioned 2002 or 2004 when Bolivar last appeared in a final. Back then in Libertadores, there was a club called Sao Caetano in Brazil that reached the final. And if you look at where they currently are now, I think they are in the fourth state division. So 22 years have gone by, and one of the biggest clubs in Brazil back then has been going down so much, and you just never know what happens to those teams. And one day they are finalists, and the next day they're nowhere to be seen, unfortunately.
yeah, you're right. You're right with that. And let me just put this on the stage. So yeah, that those are the pods, and I am now putting the pods on the screen. So basically, we have on the pod one we have Fluminense, which is the runner-up, is the last champion of Libertadores. We have Palmeiras from Brazil, River Plate from Argentina, Flamengo from Brazil, Grêmio from Brazil, Peñarol from Uruguay, Sao Paulo from Brazil, and Liga de Quito from Ecuador. So this is really the nightmare port because those are the ones that, if you ask me which one, first, I don't want a Brazilian, just like I said on the beginning. I don't want River Plate in my group, and which makes me, and not as a Bolivar supporter, I don't want Liga de Quito because they are from Quito. Quito has same altitude, not same, but similar altitude than La Paz, and they know how to play there. So it's really challenging team to face on this stage. So that's something that I really wouldn't like to face. But what do you think? Which one for you is the ones with more changes or the strongest one from your perspective on the pot one?
So I'll start off by hoping that Bolivar might go in the group with Penarol. It seems like it's the only team left for you that could be a positive. And other than those teams, I mean, other than like the non-Brazilian teams, River Plate, LDU, and Penarol, which I haven't really seen. I know River Plate is a big club. I can rank the Brazilian teams, Palmeiras and Flamengo, top two. Both of them, I would say, in the same level. Maybe Flamengo slightly better in the start of 2024. Grêmio, they were doing really good last year, but ever since they sold Luis Suarez, I don't think they have the necessary players and strikers to score goals. So even if you're drawn in the same group as them, don't be afraid. And the same thing can be said with Sao Paulo. Also struggling with a new manager. Everybody thought that with Jago Carpini coming in from second division, the club will be back to cool glory and play well. And I even thought so, but it's been completely the opposite. Sao Paulo has been struggling. in the Paulista, and just like Corinthians, they were eliminated and they're not even going to play in the semifinals. So again, Palmeiras and Flamengo, the biggest clubs there, Sao Paulo and Grêmio, they're doing well, but not as expected. So yeah, those are my thoughts about pot one.
And not Fluminense.
Oh, Fluminense, they won Libertadores, of course. They won the Recopa, and if you saw them in the Campeonato Carioca, you would think that they're gonna keep pushing again there to win another competition, but it hasn't been the case. They recently lost to Flamengo, and I don't know why. I have this feeling that they've already won what they wanted to win, and from now on, they're not gonna really focus on bigger tournaments. I mean, it's like when you get a huge prize and then after that prize you think, okay, I'm good now, I'm gonna rest for a little bit. That's what Fluminense is going through at the moment. And even in Brasileirão, when that tournament starts, I'm not expecting them to do great either.
Okay, yeah, that sounds reasonable. I mean, Brazilian again are really nightmare for us for now. So as long as we can avoid them as much as we can would be great. But it's like you said, and let me go back there. Then the options are limited to Peñarol, to Liga de Quito. So this would be a gift if on the at least because this pot from this pot we will see the leading teams from each group, right? So if we can get into Peñarol, I don't want Liga de Quito either, but Peñarol will be a good option for us. And this is respectfully saying, of course, this is something that I'm telling with whole respect with the Peñarol colleagues and people and friends. But yeah, I really wanted to avoid Brazilian. Last year we had Palmeiras. Palmeiras is a team that, and we discussed this on a live, Henry, is a team that like a lot to do one goal. And I remember one thing you said on that live stream is like, and you said like this or something like this, that when you play with Brazilian teams and you receive one goal, then the second and the third one comes almost immediately. So Brazilians are killers in that sense. So that's something I really want to avoid. I don't want to go out. I guess we lost 4-0 on the last match with Palmeiras. We had even a good group stage. So from Bolívar that was good because losing that could cause the to qualify to the next stage, but it didn't happen. We were lucky at that time, but I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time you guys won was when Palmeiras was about to play in the Paulista final, and that first match, they I think they lost it, and then they played Bolivar, and the coach didn't travel with like half of the squad because he wanted to focus on that second leg of the final, because they knew that even if they lost to Bolivar, it was only the first round of matches, and that's exactly what we saw. You guys, I believe, won 3-1 at home, and then on the return leg, lost 4-0 in Brazil. But I understand Palmeiras is such a difficult team to verse. Even me, as a Santos supporter, despite Santos currently doing really well in the state championship, I don't want to play against them. And I feel like if we win in the semifinals, we're going to be playing Palmeiras in the final, and I'm expecting like a 3-0 loss. So yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. Hopefully, it's not going to be Bolivar and Palmeiras just like last season. I have a feeling like it's going to be. I don't know why, but I just hope it's not for you.
That is something that I also I'm also surprised about Brazilian football. You can tell it's the value that teams gives to the local competitions, right? Because Palmeiras was somehow risking the Libertadores, which is the competition that every team in the region want to win, basically. And Palmeiras, for me, was a candidate. For me, deserved to be champion of that edition, even over over Fluminense. For me, Palmeiras was the best team in Libertadores. The last two matches, the one that lost with Boca, I guess, I remember, if I'm not remembering this wrong, were the worst of the games they have. And I'm counting La Paz as well, because in La Paz, they made a really great game with that B team, with that team with the reserves and with all the not line up players, but still have such a great team. And they started winning the game. They scored the first goal, and then they got disorder. We can discuss that in depth. I guess it's not the place for to do that, but they were winning that. So that's something I really it's really impressive from Palmeiras, and I really surprised again on the value that they give to the competitions they have. So I don't know if it's always like that, Enrique.
Yeah, I mean, historically, Palmeiras has been winning for the past 4 or 5 years. They have been so good in South America and in Brazil. And as long as they continue to have their current coach, who is a Portuguese, I feel like nobody's going to be able to dominate in front of them. So until he makes a move to another country, and last season people were talking about him potentially going to Middle East, and many Brazilian fans, including me, was hoping to see that because I think one of the main reasons why Palmeiras is so strong is because of their coach. And if they don't have that coach anymore, the players are going to struggle to get along with a new manager, and we might see the downfall of Palmeiras, which we've been waiting for so long. But until then, it's going to be extremely difficult, and yeah, I expect Palmeiras to be one of the two favorites to win this competition. And last season against Boca Juniors, they were very unfortunate because if they managed to win in those penalty shootouts, and it would be Palmeiras Fluminense, I don't think Fluminense would have been the champions. They got really lucky. They versed an Argentinian side who has also been going through a difficult time. That's why they're in Sudamericana this season. So yeah, Fluminense lucky, Palmeiras unlucky not to reach the finals.
So you agree with me while we are looking now, Dominguez, the chairman of the CONMEBOL, talking there. You agree with me that Palmeiras was the best team the last edition of Libertadores, or did you have any other candidate? Or
International also was good, but
hmm,
they sort of didn't keep pace with the results that they were getting, because if they managed to keep the advantage that they have at one point, or actually in both matches, they were leading against Fluminense and they had a man up, if I'm not mistaken, and still managed to concede 2 goals in both matches in the very end. So, yeah, a team that also struggled last year. Palmeiras, of course, the favorites. Fluminense, again, I would say they got to the final because nobody else managed to beat them ahead of, like, in the semis or in the quarters. So, yeah, Palmeiras, arguably the best team in the continent.
I'm not sure if I'm remembering correctly, but I believe Inter did not have such a good group stage, did they?
I think so too. Like they kept drawing many matches. I
Hmm.
think we actually see the group that they were in.
Yeah.
Yeah, three wins, 3 draws, no losses, but they had 12 points. Nacional of Uruguay had 11, and Independiente Medellin had 10. So if they did not win one of the matches that they actually did, they would have been out of the competition. But that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. I mean, teams can be doing bad in the group stage, and then when it comes to the knockout matches, they get better and better because there's teams that are prepared only for those cup games. They're not good at like the group stages when every win is awarded with points. So that might be the difference.
Yeah, because that's what I remember, that they were, I mean, they were not kind of team that has even way better than the rest of the competitors. I remember they just were around that, around on the edge of the qualification. But yeah, but they did a good second and third stage, and then they dropped it on the semifinals. I guess it was against Fluminense, right? But yeah, I mean, things happen that way sometimes. So what to say, right? Sometimes it happens like that. Well, we keep watching Dominguez talking. Uh, Boring speeches, so we'll keep waiting the action to happen. Um, but yeah, let's go back while Dominguez keep talking to the what's it called, to the pots. So maybe we can also discuss the pot where Bolivar is now, which is the one that we have Atletico Atletico Mineiro, Independiente del Valle from Ecuador, Libertad from Paraguay, Cerro Porteño from Paraguay, Estudiantes from Argentina, Barcelona of Ecuador, Bolívar of Bolivia, and Junior of Colombia. So, how do you see this pot from your perspective, Enric?
I mean, I only see a Brazilian team there, Atletico Mineiro, and I'm not sure why. I think they ended up seventh or eighth in the league, so that might be the reason why they're in pot two and not in pot one. But yeah, Atletico Mineiro, a team that, like last season, they had to play with a Brazilian team. I wouldn't be surprised if they again get in the same group with one of those Brazilians. And Bolivar, fortunately, is only in pot two, because imagine if the team would be in pot three or in pot four, and the situation would be even more difficult playing with three other bigger teams at the moment. But
That's a good point.
yeah, so you can avoid everything that you see in pot two. Just know that Bolivar won't be in the same group as them, like Libertad, Independiente del Valle, who were Sudamericana winners in 2022, Barcelona, who were doing good a couple of years ago, not so anymore, and Junior, I think Carlos Baca, former Milan player, plays for them. I think I've seen him a couple of times when I watched the Colombian league here and there. But then there's pots three and pots four. Pots three, maybe San Lorenzo, the strongest, might be the favorites. Talleres, also a team that was doing really well in the Argentinian league, well, last year or 2 years ago. So, and then pot four, you got Botafogo, which is like weird because I don't know how Botafogo, despite them going through the preliminary stages of qualification, how they got into pot four. In my opinion, they're more of like a pot one, if not like pot two at worst. But now that we're looking all those teams, let's just say that if there is a group of death, it would be Palmeiras or Flamengo alongside Atletico Mineiro, alongside Talleres, and Botafogo. So imagine those four teams all in the same group, all from different pots. It's just going to be insane for that
The
stage of
group of
competition.
death. That's what
Yeah.
we call the group of death in Latin America. So yeah. I mean, yeah, we have a lot of diversity there. We have many different flavors, let's say, on teams. Pot four, it's maybe the non, except of Nacional, Colo Colo, and Botafogo, the non-traditional teams that I'm saying traditional, the ones that normally goes beyond the group stage, right? So that's what I wanted to say. Please don't. I don't want to hurt any feeling because the idea of this stream is to integrate people, to just to give a feedback and not give a partialized view. But yeah, that's something it's really catching my attention. So I wanted your opinion as well on that. I believe the draw is going to start. Not yet. Still speeches. That's one thing that I like from the Champions League draw. They go straight to the point. It's less political, right? They just
Well,
okay, you will play against this, bang.
I think they take a long time as well in the Champions League, in the group stage especially. But then when it gets to the knockout stages, like we saw uh, a week ago, they get
Mhm.
straight to the point because everybody has only 8 teams in mind playing in the quarterfinals. But just like that, now they're showing the Maracana Stadium. I'm not sure if the final will be played in Maracana
No,
again.
it's Argentina. It's Argentina this year.
Okay, so they're just probably showing the final of last season.
You should
But
come anyway. Maybe we can do a stream live there
yeah, I
from
would
here.
love to. I mean, South America has been always in my bucket list, and Brazil, of course. But I would love to travel to Argentina or other South American teams as well. Watch any teams play. Doesn't matter to me if they're first, second, third division. Football is football, and it's for everyone. So that's what we like about the sport.
Imagine being on the final of Libertadores. I know it's not going to be Santos this time, but maybe Bolivar, which is your second team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I don't know if we can expect that, but even you as a Bolivar supporter don't have that in mind. Maybe it's so difficult. Like if your club manages to end up third and play in the Sudamericana around of 32 and then around the 16, I feel like it's gonna give you higher chances of playing in the final in the Sudamericana. But there's no way that I don't see any team other than Brazilians or Argentinians reaching that final Libertadores.
That's the cruel truth. Yeah, and that's how it's happening now. I mean, of course, with the joke and with the illusion, every one of us want to be independent advisor, right? That team that it can really make the dream come true. So, but yeah, I mean, we never know. This is football. Sometimes that can happen. We still have the hope, but yeah, being and doing this cold analysis, yeah, this is very difficult to win this tournament without being Brazilian or Argentinian, and not even all the Argentinians. It can be River, Boca is not there, but I don't think at Talleres it's making it. Okay, there it comes. I guess the draw will start. It says there that this is they are showing now, as we can see, the the teams that are going to. They're explaining how is the format basically. So they're saying that this is going to be divided in 8 groups. The groups is defined by a draw, as they say, in accordance with the champions of Libertadores. The first group would be head by Fluminense. You have the pots there. Pot one, what we were showing us a few moments ago. So they're basically remarking that. So, and what else they're saying? So this is going to define what is going to be the head of each group. So from the pot one, it's come to define. It's going to be defined the head of each group. That's what they're saying there. What else? So they are explaining the format. Let's see if they're saying something else interesting. Okay. Yeah, they're saying how they ranked, which I think at this point is not relevant. We want to see the draw. So they're showing how the pot 2 and pot 3 are composed, and pot 4 as well. Okay, so at the bottom you have the 4 teams that qualify from the first stage where they play against other teams, and they got qualified on kind of a shootout competition. It was kind of a small playoff. So okay, for the first 2 teams will be qualifying to the quarterfinals, and the third will go to the Sudamericana, and of course the fourth will go back home on each team. So this is pretty much it. So they're explaining how is it going to be.
I think one thing that we didn't discuss was that I don't know if you saw in the Sudamericana draw, but if there was already a Brazilian club in like Group B, and then the club that they drew was a Brazilian, it would automatically go to the next group because those pot one and pot two groups wouldn't be with each other as long as they're in the same nation. Like I think that's what they're discussing about right now. Like Chile and Chile, that goes to Group B with Colombian.
Exactly. So you were explaining very correctly. So they already show it. Yeah. So that's correct. So teams from the same country cannot go on the same group. So if that happened, one of those teams will go to the next group. So great. Thank you for that, Henrik. So this is volleyball. So yeah, saying that except there is one case, except in case they come from the previous stage. So Botafogo can play with another team. Also, Nacional, in case they have the same group from of Peñarol, that can in that case can happen. But in the rest of the cases, it's not possible. So that that will apply to the rest of the scenarios in that case, right?
Yeah. So hopefully they won't take too long here. I mean, they always like to do this, but hopefully it's gonna get more straightforward. As long as they get the first team, it's just gonna go very fast, in my opinion.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, I hate when this takes a long time. I hope it becomes more dynamic. I think that's Cafu, isn't he? Yeah,
Yeah,
Cafu.
definitely.
Cafu, great
Brazilian legend.
legend from Milan, from Brazilian national squad. Libertadores champion in 92 and 93, according to that graph. Yeah, such a legend. So he will be picking the first team. I believe the first one will show it's Fluminense that goes to the Group A, right, directly. So that's
Yeah.
one thing we know for sure. Yeah, it's a pity that we cannot reproduce the audio because it would be interesting to hear what this idol is saying, right?
Well, he's speaking Portuguese, so I don't think either me or you would understand what he's saying.
Actually, I do speak Portuguese. Huh? You
Oh,
didn't know
really?
that? Yeah, of course.
Wow.
Of course. Yeah.
That's
So it's kind of similar to Spanish. So, but I actually do speak, but it's similar to Spanish. It's like German and Swiss German. So yeah, while Cafu is still talking. Yeah, I don't want to go out from this screen because the draw will start in any moment. But now that we're doing this format, I really perceive that this is taking such a long time. Okay, I don't know if Enric just left or got. Okay, there you go. You're
I'm
back. Okay. So let's see. This is getting started now. It's kind of lagged, so I cannot even read the lips. So, or maybe I can try with a subtitle. Let me see. Oh, someone else is going to the stage. Who's that? Prato? Looks like Prato. Isn't he Prato?
I've heard about him. Is he a current player?
Yeah, it's Prato. Yes, Lucas Prato is his former player of River Plate. I guess he's now in Estudiantes. Yeah, he's
wow.
the one that won the Libertadores in Madrid. The man the score at that final.
2018.
Yeah, they have that celebration, just like going with the arms crossed like that. So,
I mean, as long as I heard his name, I just realized like it's a guy that I've heard or watched at some point. just couldn't remember exactly. I thought for some reason he would be a player that used to play for Bolivar. Maybe I'm mistaking him for someone else, but close name with P, maybe.
What's the name again?
No. When I heard Prato, I just thought of like maybe a
Oh,
Bolivar player. Maybe I'm
no,
mistaken for somebody else.
no, that's not from Bolivar. And that's Palermo, another runner-up of the Libertadores. Great striker from Boca Juniors. So you know him, right? You know Palermo. No?
No, I know Palermo, the team in Italy, but not him.
Yeah, he's one of the idols from Boca Junior. So he won that Intercontinental to Real Madrid. He scored on that time. I don't remember the year. Riquelme was on that team as well.
Oh
Great
wow!
team from great version of the team of Boca Juniors. He was
I
a kind of a precise striker. He was not kind of skillful, but he was way too precise.
Mm, I think we saw 2007 there, so that might be the year when he
Might
won
be,
it.
yeah. Might be that the year.
So I'm guessing Cafu will be picking up the teams, and then Prato the group where they're gonna be, and then those are the maybe groups A through D, and then the other two guys, Palermo, alongside that last one, who
Yeah,
is
Ruggeri.
Ruggeri with groups E through F or E through G or something like that.
Yeah, could be. I'm not sure how the format is going to be. Ruggeri, he's now on the TV. He has a TV show with some other analyst in a panel, and he says such a stories that it's killer. Those are killer stories. It's really good telling stories about his experiences, not only in football, in life. So I really like him I like to watch him on TV. It's really a funny guy. And it was a good defense as well. Okay, just like we said, Group A, it's head with Fluminense. So now he's mixing it up. I guess it's Cafu.
Yep.
So let's see who goes to the Group A. I guess it's going to be or Group B. No, Group B. It's Sao Paulo. Okay, Sao Paulo cannot go to the Group A. Oh, so it's going
Well,
to the
right
Group
now
B.
they're picking the top
Oh,
one.
the heads,
So
the
each team
heads.
that's picked will be in Group C, Group D. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't. Thank you. So we don't want to be on the Group A, on the Group B either. So let's see Group C. Who goes to the Group C?
Right.
Gremio. How's Gremio going on the tournament?
Right now they're in the semifinals. They are. I think they reached the final, so they'll be playing against Internacional in the state championship. But as I said,
Okay,
Gremio don't really have a striker at the moment. They have Diego Costa, who is like 35 years old, so I don't know if he's going to be scoring goals.
okay. So yeah, it's with a good present. So Group D, Liga de Quito from Ecuador is going there. So nice. So for now, those are the teams that I don't want to have Bolivar in. So not yet. Let's see. It's still too early. Flamengo, Group E. Flamengo. How are we going with Flamengo?
Flamengo, the favorites. If it's not LDU or Penarol, you would want to be with Gremio in the group or Sao Paulo. But
Okay.
Fluminense, Flamengo, Palmeiras, they're definitely a no-no for you.
Okay. So talking about the devil, Palmeiras will go to the Group F. So we don't want to go there as well. So just let's do some voodoo there. So next one, we already talked about Palmeiras, so I will not ask you again. Peñarol, that's our group. Please,
Hopefully.
Group G.
Group G or Group D?
Group G or Group D. Yeah. Yeah, sorry to the Uruguayan people that is following this stream. I apologize. It's not disrespectful. It's just kind of a joke. I don't want more Brazilians. And River on the Group H. Okay. So another group that I don't want it to go to. Well, let's see. Now here comes the real deal.
Yeah.
So the pot 2. So there you see Bolívar above Group G. So let's see which one is the first one. The Group A with Fluminense goes to Cerro Porteño from Paraguay. So they go to the
Hopefully
Group
they
A.
take Group E or Group. Oh, never mind. I thought they would be picking what group it goes to, but yeah, they're going in order, I guess.
Yeah, they go pot by pot. So they are just building the groups like that. So that one is Barcelona goes to the Group B with Sao Paulo of Brazil. Okay, so that sounds strong there.
Yeah.
Barcelona is a good team from Ecuador. They last year did not have the best performance, but still a team to respect. Okay, let's see who goes to the Group C. Estudiantes de La Plata with Gremio. Okay, nice one. Nice one also to see.
So far,
Brazil.
so good.
So far, so good. So this is one group to watch, Argentinian and Brazilian. Let's see, Group D with Liga de Quito, Junior of Colombia. Okay, they don't have to trip that much. They are next to the other country. So, okay, so for now, we're not facing Junior. Please don't go to this group, Bolivar. That can be... Fuck. Why did I say against Flamengo?
Man, unlucky.
Man. Okay, so we already said that we don't want to go there, and we went there. But like, okay, we were facing Flamengo. So Group F with Palmeiras goes Independiente del Valle. Wow, this is going to be a promising group. Independiente del Valle with Palmeiras in the Group F. I repeat, Bolívar and Flamengo on the Group E. So we started in a very bad way now. Let's see the rest of the rivals. So Atlético Mineiro will go on the Group G with Peñarol. Okay, so that sounds still a promising group. That's the group that we wanted to be, but we will not be there. And with River Plate, finally, it's who we have left there? Libertad of Paraguay. Okay, so we have started with the group. So Group A, Fluminense, Cerro Porteño. Group B, Sao Paulo, Barcelona. Group C, Gremio, Estudiantes. Group D, Liga de Quito Junior. Group E, Flamengo, Bolívar. Group F, Palmeiras, Independiente del Valle. Peñarol and Atlético Mineiro on the G, and River Plate and Libertad on the Group H. So third on the Group A, Alianza Lima. So they will go with Fluminense and Cerro Porteño. Okay, so it's kind of balancing. Alianza Lima is not having, I guess, the best of the presents, but we never know. Group B, Sao Paulo, Barcelona. And goes with Talleres, Argentina. Okay, that sounds a great group.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, as long as you guys are avoiding like the tough teams, like in my opinion, Talleres were the toughest in pot 3. That's pretty good. And the second team would be San Lorenzo to avoid.
Yeah, the lucky ones, our rivals, the strongest Bolívar. It's going on the Group C with Gremio and Estudiantes. For now, I guess I guess they had a better group than us for the time being. Then Group D, we have Millonarios of Colombia with Liga de Quito and Junior. Wow, okay, cannot be there because Junior is from Colombia as well. So Millonarios comes with Bolivar on our
Ooh,
group. Yeah,
it's looking pretty
okay.
tough.
Yeah, it's still tough, very tough. I didn't want to have Colombians because we have to trip a long trip there, but fine. Universitario of Peru will go to the Group D then with Liga de Quito and Junior. So yeah, we have that. So
Come
to the
on,
Group F,
San Lorenzo.
this is San
Hopefully.
Lorenzo. You want San Lorenzo to be there?
Yeah.
Almost there.
No.
Táchira, Venezuela. Okay. No, it's kind of balancing, respectfully saying. Palmeiras and Independiente del Valle, I guess, are strong candidates, so I don't find Táchira on the same position, but we never know. Oh, yeah, Táchira is going to the Group H. Why? And San Lorenzo is going to the Group F, just like you said.
Perfect.
Wow.
That's
You're a chaman.
Nas
And
Rosario.
Rosario goes with Peñarol and Atlético Mineiro. Why Táchira went to the Group H? That's something I don't understand.
Oh,
Táchira is from Venezuela.
that's because Rosario is an Argentinian. So if Tachira wouldn't have been going there, that would have meant that Rosario would have been with another Argentinian team.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thanks God I have you there. I have you here with me. Colo Colo of Chile. So they go to the Group A with Fluminense, Cerro Porteño, Alianza Lima. We have the first group. Wow.
So hopefully we will see Botafogo and Palmeiras in the same group.
And
And
we have the best group ever.
if not, then Bolivar should really try to avoid a team like Botafogo.
Oh, please. Yeah, Cobresal was one team that I wanted to face, and now it went to the Group B. Sao Paulo, Barcelona, Talleres of Argentina, and Cobresal from Chile already there. Let's see Group C. So for the ones that are following us, don't worry, we will do a wrap up in a moment once the draw is finished. Huachipato of Chile, another of the rivals that I wanted to face on the Group C, together with Gremio, Estudiantes, and Strongest. So, okay. So in Group D, with Quito Junior and Universitario goes to Botafogo. Thank you. Boom, boom. Goodbye.
Great.
Okay. So this is good for us. So let's see who goes to Bolivar. Flamengo, Bolivar, Millonarios of Colombia. Let's see.
Caracas, maybe?
Palestino, maybe. Palestino, yes, sir.
Amazing.
Okay. There we have a chance. I don't want to misrespect anyone, but yeah, we have a tough group there. Okay, let's see with Palmeiras. Botafogo is not there, so your dream group is not coming, but let's see who comes there. Liverpool from Uruguay.
They're not a good team, right?
Not the best of the teams.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best of the teams. Then we have two left, Caracas and Nacional. Let's see who goes to the Group G. Caracas goes with Peñarol, Atlético Mineiro, Rosario Central. Okay. And finally, Nacional will go on the Group H with River Plate, Libertad of Paraguay, Táchira of Venezuela. So yeah. So this is going to be the Libertadores. Again, we have, for Bolivar, of course, we have a challenging group stage. So we will discuss Flamengo in a moment with you, Henrik, so we can see what is the challenging things that we need to take into consideration. But it was the the rival that we didn't want to face. So to wrap that up, so Group A, Fluminense, Brazil, Cerro Porteño, Alianza Lima, Colo Colo. Group B, Sao Paulo, Barcelona, Talleres, Cobresal. Group C, Gremio, Estudiantes the Strongest in Huachipato. Group D, Liga de Quito, Junior, Universitario, and Botafogo. So those are the first four groups. So let's see what are the next groups. So from here we have kind of equal groups. I don't feel one of these is challenging, but let's see in a moment. Then Group E, Flamengo, Bolivar, Millonarios, and Palestino. Group F, Palmeiras, Independiente del Valle, San Lorenzo, Liverpool. Group G, Peñarol, Atlético Mineiro, Rosario Central, and Caracas. And Group H, River Plate, Libertad, Deportivo Táchira, and Nacional. So that's what we have on this. Well, what to say, Enrique? It's for Bolivar, it's a nightmare. We will discuss in Flamengo in a moment. So in a moment while they keep with the broadcast, maybe we can. What do you think about the draw in general?
Well, overall, I'm happy that, as I expected and as I wished in the beginning, I have every Brazilian team in a different group, and we're not seeing two Brazilian teams in the same group, just like we saw in Sudamericana. So that's good for me. But then you look at the group where Bolivar is located alongside Flamengo. Yes, it's a difficult opponent, but the good thing is that two teams advance, and I think that Bolivar has higher chances of qualifying ahead of Palestino. And if they do a great job against Millonarios, then who knows? The number two spot can be up for grabs, and that's the position that Bolivar should be aiming for.
Yeah, I mean, Millonarios, there is a fun fact of Millonarios that I was discussing with the journalist of Bolivia yesterday. Currently, the coach of Bolivar is Flavio Robato. Flavio Robato was in Millonarios, I guess, 4 years ago when Millonarios was in such a bad situation. I think they were close to the relegation or something like that, if I'm not wrong. But Robato just built the team up, and they ended up, I guess, second or third place on the league, something like that. So people of Millonarios have a lot of love for the Robato, the coach of Millonarios. So there is that funny connection on this on this team. Yeah.
And looking at the groups again, maybe we can give our predictions who can top all those groups. And I feel like my predictions are going to be biased. Every Brazilian team, in my opinion, will finish top. The only group that doesn't have a Brazilian team, it's Group H, but that also has a pretty high team to finish the first position, like River Plate, undoubtedly. Libertad, Deportivo Táchira, and Nacional, of course, they can harm those clubs, but River Plate, of course, in my opinion, finishes first. So yeah, nothing crazy that we saw in the group stage. I don't think there is a group of death. Everything has been pretty balanced so far, so that's a positive from this group stage, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't see something that you see, a group with a lot of tough teams, and so I guess it's way balanced. You say it right. Yeah, I am waiting now for the final image with all the teams, so we can discuss it. So in the meantime, which one do you think is the luckiest team from the Brazilians?
Good question. Atlético Mineiro, Rosario, Peñarol. I mean, Atletico seems in a good shape. Palmeiras, I'm not going to talk about them and Flamengo. they're they're able to get to the next stage regardless of who they have in the group. Botafogo and Gremio. Gremio is in a group with an Argentinian side. The same thing can be said about Sao Paulo. So I think Fluminense and Botafogo, the only Brazilian teams that got drawn with Paraguayan, Peruvian, and Chilean team. Of course, Colo Colo can be a strong side. Now they have Arturo Vidal, but Botafogo, in my opinion, got very lucky given that they were winning the Brasileirão last season. They struggled at the end and they finished fifth. So they had to go through those preliminary rounds of qualification. They made it thanks to 8 goals that were scored by one of their players, Junior Santos. Can you believe he has 8 goals so far in the Libertadores? And only last season, the second top goal scorer had 7 goals. Herman Cano, I believe, had 13, and then the second goal scorer had 7. So this guy right now has 8 goals in 4 matches. And I don't think he's going to be stopping anytime soon, given the teams that he has in the group: Universitario, Atletico Junior, and LDU Quito. So Botafogo getting very lucky there. And if they don't make it to the next stage, I mean, it's game over for him, for the club, and for the president, that John Texter, the American that purchased the club 2 years ago. So that's been his dream so far, qualifying for Libertadores. And now that the team made it, let's just wait and see how they're going to perform. Are they going to keep up with different tournaments that they'll be playing, whether it's in Brazil with a cup and now the Libertadores, which they haven't been present, I believe, in 6 or 7 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, wow, that's crazy. Now I got finally the table, so let me just put it here. Maybe we can start the predictions from there. Bank. Okay, yeah, then now I can show it. So there we go. Okay, so this is how the groups were set up after this draw. So let's start maybe with some predictions. Group A, Fluminense, of course, is still a candidate. I saw the Recopa, and Fluminense is still having a top level team. I thought they were not, but they actually still on the top level. Although Liga made a really great game against them, but I think Fluminense is still on the top, so it's a good candidate there. Then Cerro Porteño is a mystery. It's of course it's one of the biggest teams of Paraguay. We know that, but the performance of the last year brought me a lot of questions. They did not have the best of the Libertadores Cup, not only because of the way they lost against Bolivar. They hire good players, but still having hard time, even on the league, if I'm not wrong. Then Alianza Lima. I'm not sure how Alianza Lima will go. And Colo Colo is one of the historical teams of Chile. So my vote here, I guess, not knowing much of the teams, would be Fluminense and Colo Colo. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I agree. Fluminense and Colo Colo were going to be my predictions, but since we're both predicting Colo Colo to go through, you know what? I'm going to say maybe another team like Alianza Lima might get the second spot in the last match. So Alianza Lima, I believe last year were in the group with Atletico Mineiro and Atletico Paranaense. So you could imagine they didn't really get lucky in their group, and now that they have a chance to pass to the next stage, they can pretty much get that job done. So yeah, Fluminense and Alianza Lima are my predictions.
Yeah, one thing I'm looking now in Alianza Lima, in the league, they are currently on the 7th position. They played 8 games, they only won 4, and they lost another 4.
Wow.
They made 12 points, so that made me some noise there. I'm not sure I'll check how Colo Colo is, but yeah, I'm not sure because Alianza Lima is also one of the biggest teams in Peru. Well, similar situation with Colo Colo is on the sixth place on their league. They won 2 games, they draw one, and they lost two. Uh, they have 7 points on the league. They're on the seventh position. So they both are not really having a good present on their leagues. Let me check Cerro Porteño. Cerro Porteño, how is it going there? Cerro Porteño on their home league, they are on the fifth position. They made 14 points. They won 3 games, draw 5, and lost 2. So if we make a rough analysis there, I mean, they are all on the same situation on their leagues, so it can be anybody, right? So I don't know how are they building their teams if they have new hires and so on. So let's see. But historically, I will put my vote on Colo Colo without going in depth of how is it the situation. Are you still on with Alianza Lima after this data?
After you read the places where those teams are, and now I think you're saying that Alianza Lima is the worst of those three when it comes to how they're doing the league. Now I'm even more convinced, and you know why? Last
Why?
season, if you see the group stage, the points that each team accumulated, uh, Palmeiras ended up first with 15 points, and number two, there's no Brazilian, no Argentinian. It was Olimpia with 14. So Olimpia ended up beating Flamengo, and when they beat Flamengo in quarterfinals, I think they were currently in the 14th position in the table of their own league. So this just explains that a team can be struggling in their home nation, but doing very well in the Libertadores or Continental Cups. So I'm expecting that to happen. Before I had some doubts, but now I'm confidently going to say Fluminense and Alianza Lima get through.
That's a very good point because being on a bad position, maybe on the home league, will make you also focus more in the international competition. So yeah, I mean that makes sense. But still, if we analyze it from how is it going on the teams, it's still they are all kind of the similar situation. I mean, they are not way different.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's going to be really a tough competition for Fluminense, and let's see the Libertadores, and everything can happen. So let's go to the Group B. So let's start with Sao Paulo. How's Sao Paulo doing?
Sao Paulo, as we mentioned earlier, not doing really well. I feel like in the beginning they started the competition and they stayed very good by winning and smashing their opponents like 5-1, 4-0, but then kept struggling at the very end of the competition. And currently, as I said earlier, they're out. They lost in penalty kicks yesterday after drawing 1-1 at home, or it could have been away. I think they played at home. So, yeah, I mean, they had the new
Yeah,
manager.
with no Horizontino, right?
Yes. Yep. So Novo Horizontino, I think they're in Serie B at the moment. A good side, but not a side that you would imagine to beat Sao Paulo. So my predictions for this group would be Tajeres first and Sao Paulo second. Then Barcelona, I think, get the Sudamericana spot and advance still to play in the Continental Cups.
Wow. Yeah, okay. That sounds good. Yeah, Barcelona is even eighth on their league. Tajeres, if I'm not wrong, is second or third. They are really good, doing a really good home competition now. Cobresal is a mystery as those teams that have a lot to win and nothing to lose, but it's not a traditional rival on this competition. So I don't know what to say about that. But I believe also Sao Paulo and Talleres will have the big chance there. So let's jump to the Group C. So you said that Gremio was struggling with the striker, right?
Yep. So
So you
maybe,
think?
I
Go.
mean, yeah. So even though they're struggling, I don't see any stronger team in their group than them at the moment. I say Gremio first. Haven't really been keeping up with the strongest. Of course, they're not going to be the strongest here, but
No.
I think Estudiantes goes through ahead of, yes, the strongest. So just like we see right now, Gremio, Estudiantes, the strongest, and Huachipato, that's going to be the exact ranking, in my opinion, 1 through 4.
Yeah, I'm agree. I believe Gremio Estudiantes have the big chance there. The strongest is not having also a good presence in the local league. Although they won the derby against us, it was kind of a strange match. But yeah, I believe also Gremio and Estudiantes will be the ones. What about Group D? Um, what do
Group
you
D.
think about that? Yeah, what's your prediction?
Botafogo, again, appearing for the first time in a while. So they might have huge expectations for this competition. I'm gonna say Botafogo first, but I wouldn't be surprised if they find themselves in a bad situation at the very end, like we did in Brasileirão, and maybe end up second, if not third, which I don't think that's a possibility, but you never know what happens. So I'll say Botafogo first. Second spot, LDU, just because they were Sudamericana winners 2 years ago. Atlético Junior, fourth, and Universitario third. I remember a game that they played last season against Corinthians. They lost in Brazil 1-0, and then they lost 1-0 at home, or 1-1, something like that. So a team that can be causing issues, but I don't think they're going through ahead of LDU or Botafogo.
Okay, yeah, I saw Botafogo. They on the preliminary stage they defeated a Bolivian team, Aurora, and in Bolivia, in the altitude, did not make a bad game, but in Brazil they were killers. I mean, they have such a great attack. They are a very offensive team. It's something that you really need to be cautious with teams like that because those are teams that goes to the attack the whole game, and this is difficult to drive this kind of games, right? So that's something that makes me put the boat of the qualification, and I am really not sure about Junior because I don't know what's the current status of Junior, but Liga de Quito is not having a good presence in the league. They actually lost the last game, I believe. There's a Bolivar former player playing there, Gabriel Villamil. So that's why I know. But yeah, considering the game they made against Fluminense, I would say that Botafogo and Liga de Quito would be the ones. Let's leave the Group E for the end because I wanted to do some remarks there. Let's jump to the Group F. So what do you think the Group F, about the Group F, Enrique?
Group F also strong. Palmeiras, former champions. Independiente, also former champions of Sudamericana. So two very strong sides. Palmeiras, of course, in my opinion, ends up first. Independiente will be fighting with San Lorenzo, but I think Independiente goes through in San Lorenzo. So just like Group C, Group F will be ranked as we see here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Palmeiras, yeah, for sure. I'm not sure how's the present. You already mentioned that, but I believe they have everything to take the group. And I put my vote in Independiente del Valle, but more on the project. And I know San Lorenzo is not having the best of the presence in the league. They are having some challenges now, even in the institution from not only the from the sports perspective, also from the financial perspective, San Lorenzo is having a lot of challenges there. So I'm not sure how that can influence on the behavior on the competition. So I put potentially would say that the Independiente del Valle is more in the project, and they are always on the spot. So I would say Palmeiras and Independiente del Valle because of that. Group G, what about that?
Another group where I think a Brazilian team got lucky. Peñarol, a team that you were talking about, you would have liked to see in the group. So Atlético Mineiro takes it. I think Atlético Mineiro ends first. Peñarol, despite not being the Peñarol that we used to watch back in 2011 when they reached the final and lost against Santos, I think they end up second. Rosario Central and third, and Caracas fourth. Caracas is from Venezuela, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'm agree. Atletico, I guess, because it's Brazilian and the Brazilians are well prepared. I'm not sure, but based on what you said, I guess they are going to take it. Um, Rosario Central is eighth position now on the league, so not the best of the presents, but let's see what they can do. Peñarol is some big question mark. We were talking with some Peñarol fans in a Twitter space before I joined this streaming, and they were saying that they are not having the best of the presents, but they know how to play this competition, and they are kind of the middle of the transition where they are expecting a revolution there. So let me put the vote because I heard that fan very convinced. So I would say Atletico and Peñarol on my side. So Group H there, I think we will be agree on this one.
River Plate first. Second, I
Definitely.
think second, maybe people would say Libertad, but I'll take Nacional to end up second. Libertad third, and Deportivo Táchira fourth.
Agree. River Plate is having one of the top level now, although the transition they are in the middle of, and so but still for me it's one of the best teams in the continent for sure. And Nacional, although the last preliminary game was really awful from their side, they ended up winning it by penalties, but still I saw a great game from them in the altitude. So that will make me give them some credit there. So I would say River Plate and Nacional of Uruguay. Okay, so let's leave the juicy stuff for the end. Group E, I need some extent feedback from Flamengo because you will put Flamengo on the spot, I'm sure. But tell me why. Tell me how is it going to be your Group E?
So Flamengo, of course, undoubtedly will be the winners, and I think looking back at how they performed last season, they were very disappointed of exiting after losing away against Olympia, a team that they didn't expect. Maybe they had their heads looking to the next stage without even getting the job done in that current stage. So Flamengo is going to be very angry, and they, in my opinion, will reach the final this year, if not win it all, if it's not about Palmeiras getting in their way. So Flamengo again, top in the group. Second, Millonarios. I know they were a team that they did well in the past, and I remember they were in Libertadores in 2011. I remember them in the video game, in FIFA or Pro Evolution Soccer, but I don't know how I feel about Millonarios. They're not really a convincing side. I've watched a little bit of the Colombian league, and they don't seem to get the results when they should. So Bolivar, I would say, ends up second, Millonarios third, and Palestino fourth. Just like we saw as we see the ranking here in Group E.
Yeah, of course, my heart needs to be realistic as well, right? I find Flamengo a rival difficult to defeat, but still Brazilian teams are still struggling in the altitude more, still thinking about the altitude more than the rival. So if Flamengo comes with this mindset to La Paz, I believe Bolivar can take a chance there. Of course, in the away teams, the story might be different, but we have a draw in Maracana once. I guess it was on the 2014, if I'm not wrong, and it's possible. So let's see. Let's see. I still hopeful on that. Millonarios is 15th place on the league, so that is a huge indicator that there are problems there, because the other teams we were discussing about were 8th, 9th place. This is 15th, so this is something that it's telling us something. And in the other side, Palestino, they are on the 5th place on their league, so not doing bad. Are 5 points from the top. So I believe Palestino might be more dangerous than Millonarios from that perspective. Another thing that I don't like, but it's so since we talk about the altitude, we need to talk about also the trips traveling to Colombia, Ecuador, and Venezuela is also somehow exhausting for the team. So, and considering the calendars and so on, that's difficult to do. But that's a factor that can also influence, and Bolivar will have to work on. But rather than that, I believe it's going to be a difficult group again. And but yeah, last year we were discussing the same thing. We have the champion of Paraguay. Well, I guess that's the second place of Ecuador, and the Palmeiras that was the champion the previous year, and we almost won the group. So these kind of things can happen in Libertadores. So I'm still hopeful with Bolivar.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys are in a good place too, and I'm not just saying it because you're here and you support the club, but what I've seen from Bolivar, and even when you guys played Atletico Paranaense last season, it looked very good and very promising. You could have made it to the next stage. By the way, who was the team last season that eliminated Bolivar after beating Atletico Paranaense?
International.
Oh, yeah, Internacional, yeah. Ener Valencia. He came to the club, scored goals home and away, and I, just recently, I think I saw him score two, I believe, this past weekend. So he's keeping up with those goal scoring opportunities, and he is doing good so far for his current club.
Yeah, bloody Ener Valencia. But yeah, this is one player that's a player that can play everywhere. So that's something about him. Okay, Enric. So saying so, we we just reached the end of this stream. It was really great to talk with you to cover this again. Again, we should do this more often. Definitely, mate. I think you need to quit your job so you will have more time.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And I love this as well. Libertadores draw. Usually I just watch it on YouTube and don't really have an idea of what teams are where, because honestly, teams like Cobresal and Metropolitanos, who currently I think are in Sudamericana, are teams that I don't really have an idea of. So by having you here and explaining and having that background of other Brazil or other South American teams is beneficial for me and for the viewers as well. So thanks again for having me on, and it was definitely a great thing to do together.
Yeah, I believe we will start doing this more often. Let's see how people behave. Please follow the Smoking Snake. Follow Enric Minich in all the media, and of course Bolivar News as well. And yeah, okay. So Enric, so let's keep on in contact. We will try to do this on a weekly basis at least. Let's see. Libertadores is a great spot to talk about football, to connect, to we can maybe bring some other people from Twitter and see how we can get more insights from the South American teams to this language, let's say, to the English side of the world.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be able to connect from South American football. That's the football that we love, and whether we support a team from Brazil or another South American club, it's always going to be great watching Sudamericana, watching Copa Libertadores, who, in my opinion, are as good as the Champions League, and hopefully it continues to get better and better every year, and maybe even Europeans in the future will be watching this tournament from the group stage all the way up to the final.
We hope so. We really hope so. Okay, Enric, again, thank you so much for joining, and we'll talk to you then. And to the people that connect, thank you so much for being here. The ones that are going to watch the recording as well, thank you for supporting. Don't forget to give the like and to share this broadcast. That help us a lot to extend these messages to the rest of the people. So thank you so much, everyone. And Enric, again, thank you, and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.